I see what old chaps and chappets, game chap and Bertie here. Yes, fellows, and I dare say we are now discussing here the question, should Notch come back? Are we not, old chap?
Oh, most certainly, yes. Should Mr. Notch return?
Quite right, old chap. Now, firstly, I dare say it is necessary for us to take a look at what Mr. Notch actually did in his tenure as the Minecraft leader, you know.
Well, most certainly. Yes, indeed. Now, of course, he originally started the whole game concept and all of the ideas and the bits and pieces that went in to start it off. But also, from that, he followed on to include rather interesting things. For example, dimensions. We know Mr. Notch added the end and the nether.
Well, indeed, why we had two whole new dimensions, which to this day are the only extra dimensions in Minecraft, of course, you know.
Yes, and fun little things he added. Of course, the enchanting table and system was Mr. Notch's idea. Very well done.
And of course, if you look at it, I dare say it's well modelled. A nice floating book there, pleasant design, bookcase mechanic, etc. and so forth.
Oh, yes, I'm glad you like it.
Thank you, Mr. Notch, I
think it's rather good. Anyway, yes. And of course, also mobs. Mr. Notch, of course, was responsible for the very popular Enderman. Yes, indeed, as well as the Ender Dragon.
The Ender Dragon, the piece de resistance, you know.
Yes, indeed, it's absolutely wonderful.
And castle and villages, I say.
Oh, yes, all those things, yes.
Now, the question is, what has Mr. Jeb done, I say, since then and during the recent months, you know?
Well, yes, of course, whilst Mr. Jeb was still working with him when Mr. Notch still had his hands on the actual game, etc., he added such as the brewing stand and the potions. Yes, rather complicated system, but well received by the community.
A good system, in fact, I say.
Yes, indeed. Of course, we also saw the wither added by Mr. Jeb, perhaps in an attempt to compete with Mr. Notch's Ender Dragon.
Well, I don't know, but indeed the wither, of course, was added by Mr. Jeb, along with such things as recently horses and new biomes, and indeed strongholds, desert structures, jungle structures, and of course, bottles of enchanting, you know.
Yes, bottles of enchanting, all these sorts of things.
Now, the new assistant staff members, they've done things like put in the creative mode menu, the new one I say, done some redstone changes with new features, and of course some bug fixes and code adjustments, you say.
Yes, they've done a lot of things like that, but are the community asking for more things like new mobs and things like that?
Well, I don't know, but now the question is, of course, should Mr. Notch make a return? Because you see, currently Jeb's team are doing a fine job of adding new things to the game, but Mr. Notch, in my view, had that certain innovation about him, you know.
Well, yes, he most certainly did. Yes, but I'm not sure whether I want to return it. Can you just be quiet for a minute, please?
Mr. Notch, I wouldn't mind. Yes, indeed. You'll see, Fred Hills, indeed. Of course, it's doubtful whether or not Mr. Notch might make a return, but I say, interestingly, recently he did step in, as you may recall, and said, excuse me, keep amplified biomes on, you know.
He most certainly did, yes, of course. Well, obviously, Mr. Notch is still going to be extremely interested in the game, no doubt. But where are the red dragons?
Well, indeed, I say. Of course, red dragons are somewhat rumoured at the moment. We shall have to wait and see. That was again Mr. Notch's idea. But indeed, fellows, we shall have to see where things go from here. And overall, I'd say it would be good if Mr. Notch made a return, but it's unlikely, old chap.
Well, yes, we don't know, of course. It may happen in the future. It may never, ever happen.
But it would be jolly exciting, old boy.
Yes, it most certainly would. And I'm sure if he returned, there's no doubt at all, he'd add gerbils straight away.
He wouldn't add gerbils,
yes,
old boy.
Yes, a gerbil biome as well. Yes.
He'd clearly add some sort of new golden rocket launcher, old chap.
Absolute nonsense. I'm not doing away with my gerbils for that rubbish.
What? Anyway, so there were videos, some interesting discussion on who's done what and how those things have been received by the community, you know. Thank you, Jollies, in this game channel, buddy, bundle of sorts, I say. I look forward to seeing you once more the next exciting Andy Goodness Bear. Until then.
Well, never mind. Mr. Jeb likes gerbils, doesn't he?